Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we will be taking a look at the 2020 San Francisco Shock roster. Now, this roster, not going to be much to talk about here. Obviously, San Francisco Shock were the team last season that won the grand finals. They finished the season with a 23-5 record, a plus 66 differential. They had the best differential in the league despite having the second best record in the league. They finished, of course, in second in the Pacific Conference because of the Vancouver Titans. But their playoff run was they lost to the Atlanta Reign in round one and then ran the entire table, didn't lose a single map the rest of the way in the loser's bracket. They're the only team to ever have a golden stage, which meant that they went an entire stage without losing a single map, though they lost a map, multiple maps in the playoffs of that stage. But regardless, this team is really, really good, and they didn't make a lot of changes to their roster that they had last season. The one change that they made, or two changes they made, is they have parted ways with Nevix and they have brought on A and S. So let's start with the DPS players, where of course we have the MVP from the 2019 season, Sinatra, who I expect to still be very good. I don't see that changing at all. He is one of the best players in the world right now. Obviously, he was MVP last season. He was MVP for the World Cup as well. So we're looking at a very good player who has been the top of the league and really the top of the world of Overwatch for the past year. He is phenomenal, and I don't expect that to change anytime soon. Of course, paired alongside him, you had, for the most of last season, Rascal, who was playing the Brigitte during the early parts of the season. Another very good player you can play the Genji and the Pharah. He fares well with Sinatra, who's going to play your Tracer or your Doomfist or your Sniper. Rascal, though, with that hero pool, typically probably won't be playing alongside Sinatra. If Sinatra's playing, most likely he's going to be paired with Striker or Architect or maybe ANS. Striker, of course, known mostly for his Tracer play, but he's also good on the McCree and the Widowmaker, and he was playing their Reaper late last season alongside Sinatra on the Doomfist. And then you had a lot of Rascal playing alongside Architect, who, of course, Architect has been with the team for a little while. Architect's hero pool, very interesting. He plays your projectile heroes like Genji and Pharah, and he plays some Hanzo and some Doomfist, but he's also one of the better Widowmaker players on this team. Arguably even the best Widowmaker player on this team, though Striker's Widowmaker looked very good when he started playing it back in Season 1. That also then is where ANS comes in, because his Widowmaker is what he is most known for, but he also plays some Genji, some Hanzo, and some McCree. So really, this DPS lineup is really good. You have 5 players who are going to do everything they can. They're probably going to switch them out a lot just for a number of reasons. But they'll probably have Sinatra and Striker as their main guy, or their main 2 guys, and then they'll swap between Rascal and Architect, and they'll put in ANS if they need to. I think this is just a team where we're just going to see a lot of rotation of players, which is something that we've seen multiple times in the league, and we saw this San Francisco Shock doing that throughout the playoffs, where they were switching people in and out depending on the map. So I'd expect that to be the same thing. This is the best damage core in the league. It's really good, and I don't expect that to change at all, just because of how good it is. It is a very good support, or very good damage lineup. I don't expect there to be any issues with that going forward. I expect that to be one of the strongest areas of the roster, and I expect it to be just fine. I'm going to move on to supports next, which usually I would talk about the tanks, but I'm going to wait on those for a little bit, and I'll get to that here in a second. Their supports, of course, they have Moth as their main support. I am 100% confident in Moth and his abilities. He's very good. He was, of course, on the World Cup team in 2019 that won the whole thing alongside Sinatra and Super. So half of the Team USA starters were from the San Francisco Shock, which is, just something to point out. Moth, of course, very good though. His Lucio play, his Mercy play are very good. I really liked what we saw from him last season, so I would expect to see more of him and more of him playing very well. He has not been a player who has, what's the way to describe it the best? He's a player who's always been in. He plays a lot. They don't have another main support player, at least not anymore. He is their main support player. He's the guy that they have, and he's been with the teams. Even if there's all Korean players in, he is going to be their main guy. So that is something of note. He is their only main support player. I don't think it's going to be a problem that the team has enough playtime over the past 2 years that I don't think that's an issue. The other player is Violet, their flex support player, who was one of the better flex supports players last season. He is very good. His Zenyatta is good. His Ana is good. His Moira is good. Not really a whole lot to criticize here for a player like Violet. I really like what he's done, and I think that this support line is probably a top 3 in the league. There's a lot of support lines that I think are really good. I think Vancouver has a good support line. I think New York has a good support line. I think San Francisco has a really good support line. This one I'd say is a top 3. There's some other pretty strong support lines, but there's always some that I think there's a weaker link. So I guess this is a top 3 support line. I can't really think of any other ones that I would want to say are top 3. So I maybe just be drawing a blank. The Gladiators also have a good support line. Shaz and Big Goose is a good support line. So there's some good support lines out there, but I would say the Shock are definitely a top 3. So not really a lot to talk about there. Where I think there is more to talk about is with their tank line. Now, of course, they have Choi Hyobin as their flex tank, which he's really good. He's one of the top flex tanks in the league. I will not say anything otherwise. I think he is very, very good. I think I would say that he is a top 3 alongside Fury and maybe Janu, but I'm not as big of a fan of Janu, but I would say Choi Hyobin and Fury are your top 2 flex tanks in the league, hands down. They're that good, and Choi Hyobin has been impressive, so I'm not too worried about that. The place where I would say this team has the slightest bit of question mark is the tanks. You have Super and you have Smurf. Super is known mainly for his Reinhardt play over the past year, which is very good. Smurf was this team's Orisa late in the season, down the stretch. I don't believe either of them are that great on Wrecking Ball. They both have decent Winstons, but I think Smurf's is just slightly better than Super's. This is the one part on the roster where I think they could potentially run into some kind of problem. But I don't expect that to be a thing. I think they will be just fine. I still think this is a very good tank line, but I don't think this is a top 3, top 5 main tank in the league type main tank with either Super or Smurf. I think Super had a very good season last season. I don't think he was, and I think it was one of the best seasons by a player, but I don't think it was necessarily because of Super. I think it was because of the parts around him. Sinatra was able to bubble him, which allowed him to play really well, and the supports were able to keep him up. And I think Super's still a fantastic player. Obviously, he was the main tank for the Team USA World Cup team that, of course, got gold medal. But, when you're talking about players like Mono or like Gushui or even like Fissure, I don't think Super or Smurf is up to that level yet in terms of great player, and I think that we will have to see more from Super. I think Super can get up there by playing on a really good team. I think that'll allow him to grow and get to that point where he's really good. But I would say that this is probably the weakest spot on this roster is specifically the main tank. But this is still a really, really, really good roster no matter how you look at it. And I don't really think there's a part of this roster that I would say is bad. Just the weakest of the strongest things in the league. So the Shock, like I said, not much to talk about here. It's pretty much the same roster as last season. We're going to see a lot of the same things from them. I would say they're still the favorites. After their performance last season, it was that good. I mean, they were insanely good. No one even came close to stopping them. And I think it's really just a matter of time before we are talking about them having won again. So, I would definitely think that this is the team that is expected to win the whole thing. I would say they are the team that is most likely to win the whole thing. And that is really where I stand on this team. They're my pick right now to be the 2020 champions. I'm going to be completely upfront with you. They're my number one team in my power rankings. They're that good. I don't expect that to change. Nothing has made me think that that'll be any different. And that is where my stance is on the Shock. So that is everything that I have for you today. Let me know your thoughts on the Shock down below. I'd love to have a nice conversation and discussion about that, but that is all. So if you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing. I'm going to get out of here, so thank you once again, and I hope you all have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. All right, see you next time. Bye-bye.